Nationwide protests continue for 10th consecutive day in Iran. On Sunday, despite the presence of herds of Revolutionary Guards, the paramilitary Bassij, the state security forces, plainclothes agents, and intelligence ministry agents in streets and city squares, young people demonstrated and clashed with the suppressive forces in many cities on the 10th day of the uprising. Tehran was the scene of demonstrations and clashes between the people and the suppressive forces. The situation in many places is tense, with people in Isfahan, Shahjahan and others clashing with the suppressive forces. In Shiraz, terrified of the attacks on police precincts, the regime's agents have been ordered to remain in the police stations. Iran turns schools into detention centers. Iran's regime continues a widespread campaign of reprisals and lawless detentions throughout the country in response to the widespread uprising that began on November 15th. The number of dissidents and ordinary citizens detained by the regime has surpassed 10,000. The extent of the unlawful detentions is so large that security forces have turned grade schools into detention and torture centers, which is a clear violation of international conventions. Video footage of security forces transporting protesters into the Quds elementary school in Tehran has circulated online. The Iranian resistance calls on the United Nations Secretary-General and related bodies to condemn the regime for this senseless and arbitrary wave of arrests. Over 300 killed, 4,000 wounded and 10,000 arrested during Iran uprising. The Iranian resistance has announced that Iran's regime has killed over 300 protesters in various cities of the country. The number of martyrs is much higher and the regime is trying to conceal the scale of its horrific crimes. The Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps have collectively taken the bodies of many martyrs from hospitals to unknown locations. The number of those wounded during the nationwide uprising has surpassed 4,000, and the number of those arrested and detained by the regime since the start of the uprising in 165 cities has surpassed 10,000. Maryam Rajavi, the president-elect of the National Council of Resistance of Iran, described the slaughter of protesters as a manifest case of crimes against humanity. She urged the United Nations Security Council, governments and the international community to bring about an immediate halt to the killings and suppression and to secure the release of those detained. Pictures of Iranian resistance leader appear in several locations in Tehran. On Saturday, resistance units posted large banners containing pictures of Masoud Rajavi, the leader of the Iranian resistance, and his advice to protesters in different parts of Tehran. Other placards carried anti-regime slogans such as "Death to Khamenei." In several locations, large pictures of Rajavi were posted with his advice to protesters, such as help and give refuge to rebellious youths, and the overthrow of the inhumane enemy is certain. The resistance units carried out their activities despite the fact that the regime's military, law enforcement and intelligence forces were on full alert, especially in Tehran.